Imagine, if there is the rupture of blood vessel in the cardiovascular system, then what will happen? There will be continuous loss of blood that could be life-threatening, and that loss of blood prevented by a mechanism which is known as hemostasis. This is Dr. Gayatri. Welcome you all to Bio School. Hope you all are fine. In today's session, we will look into the mechanism of hemostasis. So guys, please watch the video till the end. Thank you. So let's begin. What is hemostasis? Hemostasis, it is derived from the Greek word hemo meaning blood and stasis meaning stopping. It is a sequence of response that stops bleeding. During the process of hemostasis, the blood changes from its fluid liquid state into a gelatinous state. Hemostasis that includes the three steps in a rapid sequence. What are those steps? Those are, the first step is known as the vasoconstriction or vascular spasm, and the second one is known as the formation of platelet block, and third one is blood clotting or coagulation. Now we will see each step in details. The first one is the vascular spasm or vasoconstriction. So when the arteries or arterioles are damaged, then the circularly arranged smooth muscles in their wall, they start to contract immediately, and that reaction is known as the vascular spasm or the vasoconstriction. So here in the diagram, just look into it. When the blood vessel it is the severe, then the blood and its the component like RBC and the WBC and the platelets, they are leaking out of the break. Here you can see the platelets, RBC as well as the leukocytes are leaking out of the blood vessel. Then in the next step, what will happen? The smooth muscle which is present in the blood vessel, they start to contract near the point of injury, and that reduces the loss of blood. That contraction of the smooth blood vessel is known as the vascular spasm. That contraction of the smooth muscles that reduce the loss of blood is known as the vascular spasm. Then how the vascular spasm it is triggered? It is triggered by several chemicals that are called the endothelins, and these endothelins, which starts the process of vascular spasm, are released by the vessel lining cells or by the pain receptor in response to vessel injury. So when there will be a vessel injury, then there will be release of the endothelins, and that endothelin that stimulate the process of vascular spasm. So in the vascular spasm, what will happen? If there is a damage to the blood vessel, then the smooth muscles which are present in the vessels, they will contract immediately, and that reaction is known as the vascular spasm. And the vascular spasm, it reduces the blood loss for several minutes to several hours, and during that time the other hemostatic mechanisms like platelet plug formation and the blood coagulation, they goes into operation. Okay, now we will see the formation of a platelet plug and how it prevents the blood loss. So a platelet plug is very effective in preventing blood loss in a small vessel. If there is a damage or there is a rupture of the small blood vessel, then the platelet plug formation, it can prevent the blood loss. So, and the platelet plug formation, it occurs in three steps. The first step is platelet adhesion. Initially, platelets, they contact and stick to a part of damaged blood vessel like the collagen fiber, or it may be the connective tissue that underlying the damaged endothelial cell. And that contact or the sticking of the platelets to the damaged blood vessels is known as the platelet adhesion. So here you can see these are the platelets, and here there is the collagen fibers and the damaged endothelium, and here you can see the platelets, they contact and stick to the damaged blood vessels. Okay, and that is known as the platelet adhesion. It is the first step of platelet plug formation. Then in the next step, what happens? There is the platelet release reaction. So due to the adhesion of the platelets, the platelets become activated and extends many projections. Okay, here you can see the adhered platelets, they extend the many projections, and that extended projection that enable them to contact and interact with the one another. They release the content of their vesicles. Okay, here you can see they release the content of their vesicles, and that is known as the platelet release reaction. Okay, platelet release reaction. So what are the content that are released from the vesicles of platelets? They liberate the ADP and the thrombogen, which play major role in activating the nearby platelets. The serotonin and the thrombogen, they function as a vasoconstrictor, okay, causing the contraction of vascular smooth muscles, which decrease the flow of blood through the injured blood vessel. Okay, so in the platelet release reaction, what happens? Due to the adhesion of the platelet in the first step, the platelets become activated and they extend the projection that enable them to contact and interact with the nearby platelets, and they release the content from their vesicles. What are the content releases? That are the ADP, serotonin and the thrombogen A2. Okay, and the ADP and the thrombogen A2 that helps in the activating the nearby platelets, whereas the serotonin and the thrombogen, they function as a vasoconstrictor. They contract the vascular smooth muscles, which decrease the flow of blood through the injured vessel. Okay, the third step of platelet flock formation is platelet aggregation. Okay. The release of ADP, it is released from the vesicles of platelets. That ADP makes the other platelet in the area sticky. Okay, and the stickiness of the newly recruited and activated platelet causes them to adhere to originally activated platelets. Okay, so when the vesicles of the platelet, they release the ADP, that ADP makes the other platelets to become the sticky, and that stickiness of newly recruited and activated platelet cause them to adhere each other to the originally activated platelet. Here you see all the platelets, they are adhered to the each other. Okay, and this gathering of platelet is known as the platelet aggregation. Okay, eventually the accumulation and the attachment of the large number of the platelet, it forms the platelet plug. And initially the platelet plug, which is loose, and it becomes the quite tight in later on. So this is all about the process of formation of platelets. So this is all about the process of formation of platelet plug, and it takes place through 3 steps. The first step is known as the platelet adhesion, the second step is known as the platelet release reaction, and third step is the platelet aggregation. And now we'll see the third mechanism of hemostasis, that is the blood clotting or the blood coagulation. Normally, blood remains in the liquid form as long as it stays in the vessels. But if there is a rupture of the blood vessels, then what will happen? Then the blood, it will be drawn from the body and it thicken and form a gel. That gel which is formed is known as the clot, and it consists of a network of insoluble protein fibers, which is called as the fibrin. Okay, and in the fibrin, here you can see gel is called as the clot, and it consists of a network of insoluble protein fibers, which is called the fibrin threads. In the fibrin threads, in which the formed elements of the blood, that is the RBC, WBC, are trapped. Okay, and the process by which the gel is formed is called the clotting or the coagulation. And clotting, it involves the several factors or the several substances, which is known as the clotting factors. Okay, we will see what are the factors that are involved in the blood coagulation, and we will see what are the factors and how many factors that are involved in the blood coagulation and from where they are secreted and their roles. Most clotting factors are identified by the Roman numerals, means they are represented by the Roman numerals, and that indicate that their order of discovery. Okay, consider a case if there is blood clots too easily, that is known as the thrombosis, and that could be because of the presence of a large number of the platelets. If the blood takes too long time to clot, then what will happen? That leads to the hemorrhage. So what are the clotting factors and the coagulation factors? How many coagulation factors are involved in the process of blood coagulation? Where from they are produced? Okay, let's see. There are 13 factors that are involved in the blood coagulation. The first one is known as the fibrinogen. It is produced from the liver. Then prothrombin, that is also produced from the liver. Then the third factor is known as the tissue factor or the thromboplastin. It is produced from the damaged tissue or the activated platelets. And the fourth one is calcium. Calcium we can get that from the diet, bones, as well as from the platelets. Fifth one is known as the proacelerin. It is produced from the liver and the platelets. And the sixth factor, there is no sixth factor, that is the prothrombinase. It is a combination of activated factor 5 and activated factor 10. So there is no factor 6. Then what is the factor 7? The factor 7 is known as the proconvertin. It is also produced from the liver. And the factor 8, it is known as the anti-hemophilic factor. The source is liver. Ninth factor is known as the Christmas factor. The source is also liver. And the 10th factor is known as the Stuart factor. 11th factor is known as the plasma thromboplastin antecedent. 12th factor is known as the Hessman factor. And 13th factor is known as the fibrin stabilizing factors. So almost all the coagulation factors are produced from the liver except factor 3, 4, 5 and 13. It is also produced from the liver, but also it is also produced from the platelets. So now we will see the mechanism of blood coagulation. And the clotting of the blood coagulation, it takes place in 3 stages. The first one is known as the extrinsic pathway. The second one is known as the intrinsic pathway. Then both the extrinsic and intrinsic pathway, they combined, and that pathway is known as the common pathway. So now we will focus on the extrinsic pathway. Extrinsic pathway of blood coagulation that occurs rapidly. Even the extrinsic pathway of blood coagulation, it is completed in a matter of seconds. Okay. So why it is called as the extrinsic pathway? It is named so because the tissue protein, which is called the tissue factor or the thromboplastin, it leaks into the blood from the cells which are outside the blood vessels. Okay, that's why it is known as the extrinsic pathway. Okay, if there is a tissue trauma, then there is the release of tissue factors which is known as the thromboplastin, and it leaks to the blood from the cell outside the blood vessel. That's why it is known as the extrinsic pathway. And this tissue factor, it is a mixture of lipoproteins and phospholipids. Okay, and it is released from the surface of damaged cells. So this lipoprotein complex of the tissue factor, then it's further complex with the blood coagulation factor 7. Okay, in the presence of calcium ion and activate the factor 7. Then this tissue factor, it activate the factor 7. Then this activated factor 7 in presence of calcium ion, it activate the factor X. So once the factor X is activated, it combines with factor B. Okay, in the presence of calcium ion, and that activate the prothrombinase or prothrombin activator, and this complete the extrinsic pathway. So in the extrinsic pathway, first what will happen? The tissue factor, it will release from the surface of the damaged cell, and this is a complex of lipoprotein and the phospholipids. Then it will activate the factor 7. The activated factor 7 with calcium ion, it will activate the factor X. Once the factor X it get activated, then it will combine with the factor V. In presence of the calcium ion, it will activate the prothrombin activator or prothrombinase. Okay, so this is the end of extrinsic pathway. Now we will see the intrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway of blood clotting, it is a little bit more complex than the extrinsic pathway, and it occurs more slowly and it requires several minutes to complete. Intrinsic pathway is so named because its activators are either in contact with the blood or contained within the blood. Okay, intrinsic means within. Is activator or the activator of the intrinsic pathway are either present in the blood or in contact with the blood. That's why it is known as the intrinsic pathway. So let's have a look into the intrinsic pathway. Okay, if there is a blood trauma or if the endothelial cells of blood it is damaged, then blood that come in contact with the collagen or the connective tissue around the endothelium of the blood vessel. Okay. In addition, the trauma to the endothelial cell that cause also damage to the platelets and release the phospholipids by the platelets, and these platelets also plays the role in the blood coagulation. Okay, so in the next step what will happen, the contact with the collagen fiber activate the clotting factor 12. Okay, so here the clotting factor 12 it get activated. Activated factor 12 it acts enzymatically on factor 11, and the factor 11 it is get activated in the presence of high molecular weight kininogen. Then in the next step, the activated factor 11 then act enzymatically on factor 9 to activate this factor also. So the factor 11 it activates the factor 9. The activated factor 9 with activated factor 8 and the activated factor 9 along with the activated factor 8 and the platelets release phospholipids, and in the presence of the calcium ion they activate the factor 10. Okay, once the factor 10 it is activated, then factor 10 along with the factor 5 in presence of the calcium they activate the prothrombin activator or prothrombinase, and there and here the intrinsic pathway is completed. So in the intrinsic pathway what will happen if there is a damage to the blood vessel of the endothelial cell. So intrinsic pathway what happens, if endothelial cell it become the damage, then blood it come in contact with the collagen that activate the factor 12. Once the factor 12 activated, the factor 12 it activate the factor 11 in presence of high molecular weight kininogen. Then activated factor 11 it activate the factor 9. Once the factor 9 it get activated, activated factor 9 along with the activated factor 8 and the platelet release phospholipids in presence of the calcium they activate the factor 10. Then once the factor 10 it is activated, then it combines with the factor 5 in presence of the calcium to activate the prothrombinase or the prothrombin activator. Here the intrinsic pathway of blood coagulation ends. Now we will see the common pathway. So the common pathway it starts when there is a formation of prothrombinase or the prothrombin activator begins. Okay. So the common pathway it starts when there is the formation of prothrombinase. Okay. So what will happen? This the prothrombinase or the prothrombin activator in presence of the calcium it convert the prothrombin into the thrombin. Okay. Then in the next step the thrombin in presence of the calcium it convert the fibrinogen which is soluble to loose fibrin threads which are insoluble. Then the thrombin it also activate the factor 13, and the factor 13 is known as the fibrin stabilizing factor, and this fibrin stabilizing factor which strengthens and stabilize the fibrin threads into the clot. Okay, So in the common pathway, what will happen in the first step? The common pathway, it begins with the formation of prothrombin activator or the prothrombinase. Then that convert the prothrombin into the thrombin in presence of the calcium ion. Once the thrombin is formed, it convert the fibrinogen, which is soluble, into the loose insoluble fibrin threads in presence of the calcium. Thrombin, it also activate the factor 13, which is known as the fibrin stabilizing factor, that strengthen the fibrin threads into the clot. Okay, so this is how the hemostasis takes place. There are several other mechanisms that control the blood clotting. For example, endothelial cells and the white blood cells that produce the prostaglandin, or it is called the prostacyclin, that opposes the action of the thrombogen A2. We have seen the role of thrombogen A2 in the platelet flock formation. This prostacyclin, it is a powerful inhibitor of platelet adhesion and the release. Thereby, it prevents the blood coagulation. In addition to that, substances that delay or suppress or prevent the blood coagulation are called the anticoagulants. For example, heparin, EDTA, which are present in the blood, that prevent the blood coagulation. So let's see the previous year CSIR net question. Given below are few statements with reference to the blood clot formation which results from the triggered chain of reaction. The conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin is the activation of factor 13, which stabilizes the fibrin meswork. We have studied it. Activation of factor 12, which promote the plasmin activation. Yes, this one is correct. This one too. Enhancement of platelet aggregation. Which one of the following combination of statement is correct with reference to role of thrombin in hemostasis? Okay, so the thrombin, it help in conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. Activation of factor 13, it stabilizes the fibrin meswork. Activation of factor 12, which promote the plasmin activation. So all these are correct. Enhancement of platelet aggregation, there is no role of the thrombin, so this one is the wrong. Which one of the following combination of statement is correct with reference to the role of thrombin in hemostasis? Is P, Q and R. That is option D is the correct answer. Thank you so much for watching this video. Definitely this video will help you a lot. If you like this video, then please do share and subscribe my channel. Bye bye. See you in my next video.